Transformation After Loss, a story of trauma after suicide with Hilari Hill. In this inspiring story, Hilari Hill shares her journey of transformation after experiencing the loss of her son to suicide. With over 20 years of experience as a financial literacy coach, career coach, and program manager with the Department of Defense, Hilari now dedicates her life to empowering others through their transitions in life. Join Hilari on her incredible story of trauma and transformation as she weaves pieces of light learned to cope with the pain. Hear how she learned to cope with that pain, embracing healing, and use her experience to empower others going through their own transitions in life. Welcome to the Wellness Driven Life Show. You're about to go on a wellness driven ride. Let me introduce our beautiful guest and someone who I can truly call one of my closest friends. Hilari Hill is an inspiring life coach and entrepreneur with over 20 years of experience in financial literacy, career coaching, and program management. After transitioning out of the Department of Defense, where she worked as a program manager for 18 years to support military members and their families, Hilari now dedicates her talents and energy to empowering others through their transitions in life. Her warmth, confidence, and confident expertise come from her own hard-won experiences. She's a proud mother of 4 beautiful children and another 12 claimed as her own. Most recently, Hilari suffered the devastating loss of her eldest son to death by suicide, which propelled her further into entrepreneurship with empowering transitions life coaching. When not growing her business or among family, friends, or clients, she enjoys shopping, reading, dancing, drinking wine or coffee, and traveling, especially when accompanied by the love of her life, Ben. Please help me welcome Hilari Hill. Hi, Hilari. I can't hear you, though. So I just want to let the audience know that while Hilari figures that out, Hilari's become such a close friend of mine, and she has shared so many of her experiences with me. So I'm going to let her figure that out. And you know what? We're just going to run straight into our first commercial. So stay tuned. Hi, I'm April Hove, the Managing Director of the Fort Worth, Texas chapter of eWomen Network. I'm so excited that you stopped to watch this video. I've got good news for you. You have just discovered an international network of women entrepreneurs who are committed to helping you achieve, succeed, and prosper. We are on a mission to help 1 million women entrepreneurs each achieve $1 million in annual revenue. Here at eWomen Network, we have a complete success system that supports you every step of the way in building and growing your business. You being here right now is no accident. We're supposed to know about you. We want to meet you to find out how we can help you, as well as learn about what you have to offer. With over 500,000 women connecting through 118 chapters across the US, Canada, Australia, and the UK, you are never alone. If this is resonating with you, please go to ewomennetwork.com/Fort Worth. Notice too my contact information. I invite you to reach out to me and check out our upcoming in-person and online events. I am really looking forward to introducing you to our community. Okay, I think I hear you.
Okay.
Excellent. Yay.
Okay.
I
Gotta
love that.
troubleshoot sometimes.
No problem. It's really a pleasure to have you on the show. So I'm glad that we worked that out. Hilary, now you're a very close friend of mine. I know so much of your history, but why don't you share with the audience a little bit about you?
Okay. So, recently moved to the Dallas Fort Worth area in August. Had been living in Wichita, Kansas for the last 23 years, was able to raise my four children there. It was a great place to raise my children. I worked for the Department of Defense with the Kansas Air National Guard for about the last 18 years at McConnell Air Force Base. So that's my background. I did airmen and family programs, which meant that I serviced military members from the day they enlisted, if even before they enlisted, their family members, such as moms, dads, brothers, sisters, girlfriends, boyfriends, spouses, and children, anyone that loved on that military member. I could work with them, share information with them, and ultimately worked with the military member on all their quality of life programs. It's called the military life cycle. So we start them by going to basic training. We teach them financial literacy. We assist with programs for children, so child and youth programs. We did transition services. We took care of them during deployment. So we have pre, during, and post deployment events, partnering with the Yellow Ribbon program, and worked with them through the whole life cycle, helping them through struggles, difficulties, offered home buying classes, which is really fun, or referring them to another resource if they were planning to get married or having a baby soon. Eventually, as that military member progressed through their military life cycle, they would get to the point of separation or retirement. And as a transition counselor, I reviewed their benefits, their entitlements, encouraged them, and did a warm handoff to the VA or a veteran service officer. So have lots of experience in doing that. During my time there, I had received a lot of accolades for different projects that I worked on, and that goes into my program management side of the house, running programs and really trying to provide excellent services to our military and their families while I was there.
Wow, you have such an incredible background and so much of servitude. And you did all of this while being a single parent. Is that correct?
Yes, fun stuff, let me tell you. Um, it was amazing. It was an amazing career. And the benefit or the blessing of this job was, you're exactly right, raising my four children by myself,
Mhm.
utilizing my family support system when I needed to, when, we had to send service members out on a deployment at 2 a.m. or 10:30 at night. We're 24/7, 365.
Yeah.
So when they have to deploy or they have to go out for a training or something, you are there to support them at whatever time. One wonderful benefit while raising those children was I did travel quite a bit, anywhere from 3 or 4 times a year. And many times I was able to take the children with me. So they got to experience um, lots of states and lots of travel in the car. And uh, not only did I have my family, my nuclear family, but I also have a military family. And I think people miss that part when their loved one is thinking about joining a service, is that this is a whole new family and it's around the world, highly connected, highly entangled. And you end up, as you travel, as you go to different trainings, you run into people that you know. So it really becomes a big, beautiful family that you can depend on.
Yeah, that's a massive network. And how beautiful is that to be able to offer that to your children? These different cultures and the experience of travel and opening their minds and their hearts, even, again, going back to that servitude aspect of this is what we do to support one another. And that is definitely what I know to be true of you. That's why I have been so fond of you, because you just have this huge heart and such an extensive background. And I loved that about you because we were able to relate. I have a law enforcement background. You get a little bit where I'm coming from, where not everybody does. And I think that you can be so beneficial to others based on your experiences of being a single parent and with all of the things you did within the military. And so when we talk about being a single parent, can you tell a little bit of, I know that you took your children and were able to give them so much, but what was that struggle like?
Well, my dear, you know this struggle too. There's many, many single parents out there. And the challenge is that there's a couple different challenges that stand out for me. One is in my career, since I've been talking about that, is that there can be a glass ceiling for single parents.
Mm,
That there may be opportunities that you want to participate in or you want to apply for that next promotion, but you do have to consider, what does that mean for my family if I move to, say, DC, which is the hub of federal government, right? If I make that move, where are we going to live? Can I afford it on one income? I don't have two, right? Uh, where are the schools going to be? What does my commute look like? Because again, as a single parent, the child gets sick. I'm the only one to get the child from school and get him to the doctor or her to the doctor. And if I'm in downtown DC and we live in the suburbs, how is that going to happen? And not having family support. So is someone going to move there with me, or who do I already know in that area before I apply for that job? So I do talk about that glass ceiling a little bit. Within the home, there's other challenges, right? When you're a single parent, guess what? You get to be the disciplinarian and you get to kiss the boo-boos. You get to be the one that runs to the emergency room, blood gushing out, and you're driving and trying to hold a compress on the blood that's spewing from the kid's head.
all the stories, yes.
Yes, exactly. Um, and so those are the challenges, but also I had the opportunity to love on my children, to instill values that were very important to me. Um, we had those deep conversations. You do realize that, like a friend of mine says, she says, Team Valentine. Well, it's team family, right? And
Yeah.
when the kids get older, and one can drive, it's like, hey, I need you to get your younger sibling to, the sleepover because I'm still working. Or can you help me and run to the store before it closes and get milk and bacon for the morning because I have a headache or I'm working on getting the other one to bed.
Yeah.
And so you develop this very tight knit reliance on each other, and it can be a very beautiful thing. And I feel like I did a very good job at raising awesome kids. I did have two children, my oldest two. They joined the military, and then of course I have my younger two. And so they obviously saw that my service to the military, my dedication to these military families was really important, and that they wanted to be a part of that too. So they followed. So at one point, my last married name was De La Rosa. So at one point we had Justice De La Rosa, Xavier De La Rosa, and then Hilary De La Rosa. And it was like, which one of the De La Rosas are you trying to get somewhere, or email? That was always challenging and
Yeah.
fun. Yeah.
Well, and when we talk about statistics within military families, there's a lot of broken military families. And, because you got to do so much, one-on-one counseling, coaching, I feel like you were able to show up so much better for them with your own experiences. And tell me a little bit, how does that strengthen you as a person when you have had these experiences and now, you're coaching and leading the way for others?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, because of those experiences, and we've only touched on a few, but I have an extensive history, I am able to identify with and um, connect with
Yeah.
many people that maybe assume that I wouldn't be able to. I get that a lot. They're like, I don't know if you can help me, but I was told to come talk to you. So I don't know why I'm here. And it's like, great, come on in. Let's see what's going on in life. And I'm
Mhm.
very transparent. I don't hide things. I don't say, well, I'm not going to talk about that because I'm human, right? And I have a story and a journey that I'm on in my life. So I try to identify with that person and figure out where our commonalities are. And many people are very surprised at what I've walked through in my life. And there, oh, goodness, how many times I've had a friend say to me, like, we don't understand how you are so vibrant and excited and you show up and you're pulled together and you have this and then you had this and you went through this. And people didn't know when I was at work, when I was working for the military, when I was going through a divorce. They were like, we had no idea, we thought you were still married. I'm like, no, I got divorced, or I'm in the middle of a divorce. And it was
Yeah.
very traumatic. So they were very surprised that I was still able to show up to work, support people, be available, um, or taking my kids to the emergency room. Or I had COVID at one point, and I'm still working from home to help members because they don't stop. And unfortunately, life just doesn't get put on hold because you're having a very personal experience that's very challenging and taxing on you. Life still does go on. And I make a decision, I make a choice every day to get out of bed and do what I need to do. And I
Mm.
also choose to rest when I need to rest. And I think that's equally as important. I don't think as a society
Mm.
we take enough time to say, I'm tired, I'm
Oh,
exhausted.
yeah. And allow for that time.
Yes, yes. And
Oh,
not, and here's the other thing, to not feel guilty about it, right?
oh
So,
yeah.
so guilt is huge. Guilt and shame are on very low energy vibrations on that scale. And I do not want to be there.
Yeah.
I want to be higher. I want to be a beautiful presence in people's lives. I want to radiate joy. I want to be someone that people are very attracted to because I I am a light, and I am excited about the possibilities and the opportunities that we get every day from God and others to show up and show up. Show
Oh,
up.
yeah. And that's beautiful. And I think that people really, want to be around you and want to work with you when you do. And, you certainly have been a light for so many. And yes, absolutely. It's amazing. You're one of the most positive people that I have met, in the face of all of these other life circumstances and traumas as we all experience. So,
Yes.
um, let's talk about that when we get back from this other commercial and, how it is that you continue to show up even in the dark and gloom.
Yes.
Hello, everyone. I am Kim Jacobs, the host of The Kim Jacobs Show, and you all know who's right here with me, Dr. Les Brown. How are you, Dr. Brown?
I'm blessed and highly favored. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the time you want to give yourself a competitive edge. If you got a message, you have some knowledge or experience, a story, or if you want to do something adventurous and exciting with your life that can increase your credibility, expose you to millions of people, I'm encouraging you to have your own talk show. I used to have a talk show. That one talk show catapulted me to another level. Now there are more people watching the internet, as you are aware, than television.
Yes.
Come on, somebody.
That's right.
Dr. Kim Jacobs, she trained people on how to have their own talk show. She will train you how to do that. And now with me working, partnering with her, now you have the combination of an audience, expansive audience. We have over 4 million people in all of our platforms, and the coaching you need to grow your business, to grow your multi-level marketing organization, to draw more attention to yourself in this noisy economy. Go ahead, Kim.
So in the training that I do, Les, I actually do a 6-week training. It's 1 hour per week. And each week I meet with the individuals one-on-one. We go through and we talk about all of the things that's necessary for a show to become a reality. We go from how to actually identify your focus area, what's going to be your ideal customer that's going to be tuning in. We'll talk about how to get guests, how to get sponsorship, how to go about getting your lighting, your branding, and your banners, and everything that you need to know. And guess what, Les? They own their own content at the end of the day.
And that's exciting. Now, if you're ready to create a shift in your business and in your life and increase your cash flow, I want you to go to KimJacobsConsulting.com. It's right there on the screen, KimJacobsConsulting.com. You know, people say opportunity knocks on every door. Right. No. Opportunity stands by silently waiting for you to recognize it. So I want you to recognize that this is a time for you. This is an incredible time to have your own talk show. It establishes a level of credibility.
Yes.
And by being exposed to people on a regular basis, it allows you to strategically begin to impact and attract your audience. She can take you in a place in yourself that you can't go by yourself. So go to KimJacobsConsulting.com. That's KimJacobsConsulting.com. Did I say KimJacobsConsulting.com? Yes, you did. Very good. Make sure you go there and sign up for the coaching, and we're looking forward to working with you. You have something special. You have greatness within you. That's my story, and that's Kim's story, and we're sticking to it. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Okay, welcome back. So you have just beautifully weaved, your emotions. You have a very strong emotional intelligence. I think that's definitely what I would like to say. So you've had all of these more challenges than most,
Yes.
and having to show up. I think something about that is when we are parents and we have to be the only face, the only example, and also when we're in a position of power where we're leading others, there's something about that where it just makes us stand up and show up a little bit more because we feel like that's what we need to do.
Yeah.
And so tell me a little bit about, let's walk into your experience. Your sons went into the military with you and how exciting that was. They followed in mom's footsteps. What was that like? And maybe some of the challenges that were faced within the military life.
Yes. I think it's awesome. I'm a big advocate for the military. I see a lot of great training and opportunities that are available to our military members. And those that take advantage of it really walk out of there with like this massive training record and all these accolades and awards. And they're very, very proud of what they've done. And they're just awesome people, awesome human beings that, in my opinion, I believe the civilian sector can absolutely capitalize on all the skills that the military members receive. Their leadership training, you mentioned emotional intelligence. Those are courses we can take in the military, which I did several times. There's assist training for suicide intervention training. There's the 4 lenses training. There's financial literacy training. I mean, I could just go on and on and on, that is available to the military. And again, if people will take advantage of it, they walk away from the military, whether that's at retirement or a separation, and they go into the civilian sector, and they have all these skills and abilities and training, and just there are these really well-rounded people. And you mentioned travel around the world. Many of them have. So they have this beautiful appreciation for other cultures. They may speak multiple languages. We find that a lot. They're very willing to try different kinds of foods. So I've gotten opportunities to eat a lot of unusual dishes because they're like, well, we ate this in Korea. We had this in Japan. This is a staple in Germany, and where military bases are located. So it's a beautiful thing because I believe in culture and diversity. Very much I embody that. And the military just naturally gives that to us. So for my boys that joined the military, I really presented the benefits to them that by joining the military, they're going to get this training, that less than 1% of the US population joins the military, which is staggering.
That is.
It's like, everybody's like,
Yeah.
what? Less than 1%? Yeah, absolutely. Less than 1%. And we have different branches and service components they can do. That they go to school after their basic training. It's a technical school, and they learn their skill set. So in the Air Force, their job is an AFSC, and it's a number. For some other branches, it's your MOS, and you go to training to learn that skill. So, for example, my son Xavier went to school for heating and air conditioning, and he went to a particular base. He was in school all day, every day, wore the uniform, and he called me one day and said, "Mom, when I get done with this, I'll be a heating and air conditioning technician. I'll have my Freon license. I can work on boilers, on and on. And my friend has been paying for college." And Justice did the same thing. And I'm like, yes, that's the point.
The way to go.
That's right. That's right. And then there's the college education or trade school beyond that, or we even teach business classes. So we encourage veterans to own their own business at some point. So those are all these additional benefits that sometimes we forget about that the military is offering, and the member has to take advantage of it. There's also spouse benefits and child benefits that come along with that. Healthcare,
Yeah.
So I see all the benefits. Now, are there some downsides? Are there some negatives? Absolutely. But you're going to find that in any career field.
Anything.
Yeah. And you have to decide, is the benefit outweighing the negative? If this is not what I thought it was, how can I maximize my opportunities while I'm here? Can I cross-train? That's something many times they forget. So they get in one AFSC based on their ASVAB scores, which they take with a recruiter or they take at their high school. And they don't realize, you remember when you got your ASVAB score, you could do a choice of 16 jobs. You chose one, and you went to school and you did that job for a little bit, and you're like, this really isn't fun. It isn't what I thought it was going to be. Go pick another one. The military will train you in a new career field. and you have that choice. If you join without a college degree, that's another thing. Many of our service members join with college degrees, which is exciting. But say you join without a degree, then you maximize your benefit of going to college. The military pretty much pays for all your college between there's GI Bill, state, federal benefits, there's student loans, there's tuition assistance programs. And in the military, over a course of time, you get a bachelor's degree. And now you decide you want a different opportunity as an officer. You can go from enlisted to officer and have almost like this second new career with new expectations as an officer to lead others, to do strategic thinking, to really plan out missions, or just moving forward in a different capacity. So again, lots and lots of opportunities that I have seen with the military. And if people will take advantage of it, it's just great.
And you offer a lot of services to, veterans who, again, transitioning out of that. So they've already gone through all those phases and now they're transitioning into something new. What is it like for so many people who are going into something other than? Because I know military life is one thing. It's very structured. It's, you're in front of, a certain type of people. It's the family, it's the network. And then you're coming into a different world. And it makes me think, Manley and I just watched, I think it's called Dog. It's a newer movie. Will bring you to tears. Absolutely. But really just this soldier's transition from, experiencing frontline service, war, and coming into a different world, completely different, and having to, experience society once again, and how challenging that is. And then coming in to rely on his friendships, going back to his networks, and the dog, of course, and how the dog itself, was so trained to do one job and one duty, and isn't really designed to be in, a traditional society setting. And so you experience that a lot and work with a lot of people with that. It's almost like what I like to call, it's an identity crisis when you come from one extreme to another, and there's a grief period with that.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah. You just hit the nail on the head, my dear. You're exactly right. So within the military, they have a program called TAP, and it's a transition program. I was a TAP counselor since 2012 when I first got trained, so a long time. And it's a curriculum, mandatory PowerPoints, hours of briefings. And as a counselor, I can't change what I cover. It's mandated by law to cover these things, but you're looking for creative ways to talk about something, make it applicable, keep them awake, right? And it's good stuff. Like, that's what I would always tell my members. This is really good stuff. And if you will take notes and you'll take this packet of information, there's tons of information, websites, resources, benefits. Check this out, look into this, sign up for that, turn the form in for this. But it's overwhelming, very overwhelming. And it's just by fire hose, okay? Then the military member, many times I hear this, I run into this a lot, where the military member is like, hey, I got it, I'm good. They know they've been wearing this rank. They know what all those accolades are that they got from the military and their awards and attaboys, right? And so they have an idea in their mind that when they walk away from the military, that places, employers are going to be clamoring to hire them. And they just, dun, 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 hire me. And nobody comes knocking. And many times veterans can go a year and a half without getting a job offer. And there are several factors attributing to that. But that's very disheartening to the service member, because here they have done so many things. They have been trained. They've gone on combat operations. They have this amazing background that, again, the civilian sector can capitalize on. They don't always know how. And quite frankly, the service member doesn't know how to reflect what their skills are on a resume, a civilian resume for a civilian employer. So there's two pieces there. But what can happen is that service member leaves, and you said there's a grief. Absolutely. I talk to them all the time about that. As you wear a uniform every day, that's part of your identity. There's a vernacular the military uses. We speak in acronyms. I can put whole sentences together with one acronym after another, and a civilian's going to go, I don't know what she said. I don't know. But I can rattle it off because I know what it means and I know how to string them together. So there's the uniform, there's the
language.
Yes. There's, like you said, the expectation, it's regimented. So we see that a lot too. I talk to veterans or people separating the military, and I tell them, think about the culture of that future company that you're going to work for. And the reality is, more than likely, there's still probably a percentage that would, but more than likely, you're not going to leave the military, hang up the uniform, put it in the back of the closet, put it in the duffel bag, and not look at it, and then go to work for a place like Google that is very freeing in their office space. They're not chained to a desk. They're very, groovy-ish. That's usually not the military member. It's not going to be a good fit.
Or there's a lot to unlearn.
Yes.
Or to at least put in your back pocket to take out when need be. I can relate with that.
Yeah. And it's very hard. And it isn't always depression, but those moments of sadness, of grief, of loss, the loss of identity will creep in. It may not creep in immediately because they're excited to exit the military, but 3 months later, it might trickle in. 6 months later, a year and a half, 2 years. And in many times what we see, so I worked with the Air Guard, but many times we would have a person who's separated from active duty, or not usually retired, but separated from active duty. They did, their first or second enlistment, said, this isn't for me. They go to work for a couple years and they come back, and they come as a Guard member because they miss the military structure.
The structure. Yeah, I agree. And that movie is called Dog. Channing Tatum is, the lead in the role, and he does a fabulous job of really describing, even when he's talking and explaining his thoughts, his viewpoint on things and how different it is from everyone else who hasn't experienced that life, that world, being across seas. I mean, it's a completely different thing, here in the US, and, when you're in a war zone, it's totally different. So people don't understand it. They don't understand the politics involved, and everybody has their own perception. And there was a really great scene where he's in a bar and he's talking to a lot of different women and having the conversations with them and how their viewpoints are and what his viewpoints are. And he's like, wow, this is not a good fit. And they're like, oh, this isn't a good fit. So it's really interesting, the perspectives, and I can relate with it a lot because when I stepped out of law enforcement, it took me a really long time to, really show up as a woman, to be honest, because you're in full uniform. You have to have your hair back. You have to have this dominant, aspect of yourself. And when you put on that uniform, it's like this armor, and you show up so differently. And I remember the first job I had, I was an office manager assistant at a mortgage company, and I would answer the phones sometimes, and they told me, April, you have to stop answering the phones. You're scaring away the clients. They don't, because I was just, very straightforward. I didn't have as much high pitch, like the feminine side. It truly was. It took years to learn how to show up differently, to show up how I do. It didn't come natural when you have so much training ingrained in you.
Yes. Well, let me add to that. So Just today, a couple hours ago, I was at the Veteran Business Circle, which is a group of veterans. They have a Facebook page and everything. And they find camaraderie. We find camaraderie with each other because we understand each other. You don't have to explain shit, right? You just are like, hey, Marine Corps, Air Force, Army, Navy. They tease each other back and forth. We laugh about it. And you can just throw in all those military isms and we get it. And there's no judgment. And that's a beautiful thing. And they need that. There's, I could rattle off a ton of resources, but, the Vet Center, they have counseling programs. They have opportunities for veterans to hang out with a cup of coffee and shoot the shit with each other. Why do you think the VFW and the American Legions have been popular for decades? Because these veterans need to be around each other. It's an identity. It's a badge of honor they've worn, and they need to stay connected because it is less than 1% of the American population that joins the military.
Right. And again, it's really knowing that language and that certain type of communication. You develop a sense of humor that most people don't get because you're in and around things that most people don't see. And absolutely. So you're saying that maybe finding your tribe and community is a strong point here.
Yes, absolutely. And it helps with the transition. And I'll give a great example too. So today we have a guy that owns a garage door company, and on his vehicle, it's plastered veteran owned, U.S. Marine Corps, and that's his identity. That's part of his identity. Yeah. So then there's another guy there that's a window company guy. And then there's a concrete guy, and there's a junk removal guy. And they are all doing business and referring people to each other. And they know I'm referring my client to this veteran-owned business because they're going to take care of them. And I have no worries. And if they don't, we're going to deal with this offline and take care of this because we're here to service. We're here to build our businesses, but we're here to support each other. And they do that beautifully in these veteran circles with each other.
Absolutely. And, I think that you probably encourage people that, although we have, our identities and our belief systems, but yet they are malleable and they do change throughout the course of our life, throughout the course of our experiences. I mean, just before we, went into certain career fields or certain things happen, we had a certain identity, right? And then that identity changed based on those experiences. So I think that's such a powerful thing to have people know that, that was a real awakening for me, is to understand that I can change my beliefs. I can change my identity. It is something that shifts and changes as life moves forward. And, we're going to talk a little bit about that. We'll go into another commercial. And then when we get back, I would love to hear how you have changed and switched your identity through the transition with your loss when we come back.
Bella Grace means so many things to me. I still remember being a young woman and having that name in my heart. And I also am a mother of 2 young girls now. I love more than anything to spend time with them. I wanted to do something that would be empowering, deliver amazing, proven products that work to the marketplace, but most importantly, give amazing opportunity to people all around the world.
It truly is her passion. After over 25 years in the pharmaceutical medical world, I've dealt with lots of doctors, lots of chemists, lots of scientists. So when I saw all the double-blind clinical studies that validate and back up beyond a shadow of a doubt that have over 10 years of proven results,
It's truly beauty from the inside out.
we knew that we were going to be bringing a very disruptive force to the health and wellness world, and that's exactly what we've done. We have exclusives to make sure that nobody can replicate or duplicate what we've brought to market.
The amazing shine, the amazing plumpness, the hydration.
It's as if you're watching magic happen right in front of your eyes. It's something you don't get with the most expensive products out there.
We started interviewing influencers. We started interviewing influencer companies. So we thought, what if we could give them more? And that's exactly what we've given them, is an influencer model, exactly what they wanted and expected, with an affiliate model built around it.
They give you a platform to become an influencer.
Customer service, marketing department, manufacturer, the packaging, the people that are doing our software, the comp plan. Every single person here are literally experts in their definitive field. It's over 100 years of experience in the direct selling world.
So we've been able to partner these two worlds and bring the best of the direct sales affiliate marketing world with the passionate social media influencing world and bring them together.
That's something that we haven't seen out there yet.
The best tools possible, the best platform possible that anybody, even if you weren't an established influencer, you could come here and build out a community of influencers.
Anytime, anywhere, on my phone. It doesn't matter who you are, what your following is. Bella Grace is giving us all the opportunity to create a business for yourself. This is the time to take advantage of that.
Discover more about Bella Grace in the description below. And coming back to Miss Hilari, share with us how you have really shifted and changed who you are, how you show up through your recent transition.
Yes. So my son, like you said earlier, died by suicide in May of 22. And I was already planning on some transitions in my life, had met Ben and was dating him long distance, and we had plans to move, was putting my house on the market and, leaving the Department of Defense. So all these really life changes that, most mental health professionals recommend one a year. Don't do it all. Well, let's just rip off the Band-Aid and do it all.
Get it done. Yeah.
Go big or go home, right? So with that, it does shift your thinking tremendously, and it causes you to reevaluate things that you're doing in your life. Is that working for me? Does that serve me any longer? Is this who I still want to be to others? What else am I capable of doing? And it really coincided with those questions I was asking before I moved, before he died, before I sold the house, questioning, is this really where I need to be? And we are all on a journey called life. And we have experiences throughout that journey that shape us and mold us. And I became a life coach during COVID. And I myself have a coach as well. And I recommend that, any professional, typically a psychologist has a psychologist they talk to. A teacher has a teacher friend they talk to, right? And so with my own life coach, I started questioning lots of things. How am I showing up at work? How am I showing up as a mother? How am I showing up as a girlfriend? Do I still want to do this? What else could I do? Because we are multifaceted human beings. So like you, for example, you've done law enforcement, you've worked for a large shipping packaging company, You've taken care of children, you've taken care of your mother, you have been a wife, you're a daughter, you now have a podcast. So, and who knows what's next? Who knows what's next? You and I have talked about being a speaker on and big stages, you know. Who knows? That could lead to writing a book, which could lead to, you know, I don't know. But when we go through these things in our life and we get to the point of, this isn't serving me, this isn't where I need to be any longer, I need to do a change. And they don't have to be major changes, like completely changing your career field. That's one example. But it could be making a change in, I'm going to show up to be a better partner to my spouse.
Yeah.
I'm going to take classes so I can be a better mother to teenagers. I'm going to, you know, fill in the blank. And so with those things that I mentioned that happened during this last year, I got the opportunity to really define, what do I actually want to do? What are my God-given talents? I knew when I did my coaching certification, it was within a few hours of starting, they explained what coaching is, what it's not, why do people do it, etc. And we took a break. It was all on Zoom at the time. And I just remember just like crying and going, oh my God, this is what I'm supposed to do. This is why God could put me on earth. This embodies all these talents. And again, my history into a career field, something that I could do to make money, support my family, travel like I like to, support veterans, other single moms, women, entrepreneurs through business coaching, transition coaching, you know, all those things that I coaching for me has now, and has been actually since I got the training, has been just enthralling. Like I get so much energy by coaching someone. I get so excited for them. I'm really big on celebrating the victories as we walk that journey together. I become their accountability partner. Did you get your homework done? Where's your stumbling blocks? You know, I get to be their biggest cheerleader and go, oh my God, you did it. That's awesome. And also to sit there with them and hold space when it's not going well. And sometimes when we change, not everyone is supposed to walk with us as we change, right? So,
That's a big statement. Yes.
yeah.
Can you say that again? Because I think it's very powerful.
Yeah. Not everyone is supposed to walk with us as we go through the changes. And it's very hard. And I had a conversation with someone this week about that, where a longtime friend said there was a situation, they had an opinion that was very different than the person I was talking to, and that friendship has ended. And that's really hard. And you grieve the loss of that friendship because they cannot walk the rest of the road with you. And we have to know when to let them go. And it's just super hard. But my mom tells me all the time, you can't keep everything. If you keep everything, you have no room for new. So April, if I kept every single person that I love and adore and I'm friends with, I would not have had the capacity and ability to say hello to you and welcome you into my life and all the other new people that I have been meeting recently as well. Because there's only so much, right? There's only so much of me.
And all the possibilities, you know, the what ifs, you never know. And I think that's one of the beautiful things when you really open up to this discovery aspect, you know, like this curiosity, because it could be better than you ever imagined possible. You know, the new person that you get to meet, the new, you know, place that you get to visit, the new experiences, the new life. You just never know what's around the corner, even when we're at the lowest of the low. And it sounds to me like had this blessing in disguise. If you were already having these thoughts in your mind, you're contemplating, where do I want to show up? What do I need to release in order to bring in the new? And you already had this on the forefront, when the unthinkable happened. I think that it was a blessing in disguise, in a sense, because you already were in a space, to hold something. And, I think that we could never really feel ready.
Oh, no, you do it scared. You do it anyway, right? I think I've heard that a ton lately, is you just do it scared. And even the best people that are the most prepared to show up, to do the presentation, to drive the brand new car off the lot, to open the business, they're doing it scared. They don't know if this is going to work. They don't know if the brand new car is a lemon or not. They don't know. And we just show up and we do it anyway. And we take the challenges that come along with it and the opportunities, and we have to kind of like ride that wave that is part of our life, and we learn from those experiences. And so, very tragic that my son died. Awful, awful, awful. But I can't change it. Mm-mm. And I'm trained. I'm trained in suicide intervention. I have sat with many, many people over the years that had suicidal ideations, that were very, very close to taking their lives, and they were scared because they didn't want to, but they didn't know what else to do, because people live with chronic pain. People live with devastating news of a very close one dying, a spouse, a baby, a child, that kind of thing. They live with awful circumstances. PTSD is huge, huge PTSD. And they never get relief, or they don't ever think that there's relief. Right. And you get to the point where I don't know what else to do, because I've tried this, I've tried that, and I don't see the hope that it's going to get better, because I've tried everything I know. And it's scary. It's very scary. And people, I talk to many people too. I won't say everyone, but I think many, many people, more than we realize. But almost everyone has had a period of time in their life where they could have become suicidal, or they were suicidal, or they had suicidal ideations, or they attempted, right? Mm-hmm. And we, like many things, that's kind of taboo. I think we're getting better about having these discussions, but the reality is anyone could get to that point if given the right set of circumstances.
Yeah. I want to say something for me personally on that. I had this experience when I was a new law enforcement officer, and it was my first suicide. And so when I went into the home, I saw the pictures on the wall, and it was family photos, and it looked so happy. And there were Disney photos, and I continued to walk through the house. And when you went into the back room, it just felt so dark and cold, and just a very heavy, negative sort of energy. And I saw a woman who had, taken her life. And what happened was, the story was that she dropped off her 2 children at the school bus earlier that morning, and she came home and she offed herself. And I swore as a mother at that time that I would never be so selfish as to take my own life, having the children to take care of. I just thought that was the most selfish thing anyone could do. Well, my perspective on that did change. And like you said, anyone can really get to that point given, the right circumstances, the right cocktail, right? Of just the
Life.
crap of
Yes.
the crap of life and challenge and turmoil. So never say never is the lesson that I received after that. Now this is many years later, but still never say never.
Yeah.
And yeah, but that's the point of life, right? We go through these ebbs and these flows, these ups and these down, and that is to be expected. Nobody gets out without that.
Unscathed. No way.
No.
Yeah.
And so, it's also giving a different perspective and space for people who choose to go all the way with that, and having a sense of understanding and compassion with that, and to not be so judgmental. It's easy to go that route when you think you know it all or have it all or feel like, well, they could have.
Right.
But
Right.
the reality is everybody is an individual and we all make our own choices, and we make our choices every day. And you said in the beginning, I choose to show up this way.
Yep.
I choose to think this way and to not allow myself to go back into these negative thought patterns, which is easy. That's the easy way.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. And the thing is, you can, I didn't realize this until I was in my grief group recently that I guess I did realize it, but I had to think about it. And he died by suicide, but I feel no shame surrounding his death.
Mm.
And I don't feel guilt surrounding his death. And if this had happened 10, 15, 20 years ago, heck, I don't know, maybe 5 years ago, I may have been looked at differently. I may have been treated differently. I've heard those stories where I was talking to a gal, her mother died by suicide when she was 16, and I think she's probably late 50s, early 60s now. And just nobody came to support the family. Nobody wanted to be around the family, almost as though it was contagious.
Yeah. It's we have definitely shifted, I feel, in that, and still coming out of that. There's absolutely those, where you're treated like that, the societal norms, the societal thinking, and it's easy to, when I was feeling a certain way, with my children not coming with me or whatever, I felt like, oh my gosh, society is going to judge me.
Yeah.
And that was very hard to try to push away and not allow that thought to start sinking in. And it's easy to do that. But I think that mental health is it's on such an uprise of an awareness. And I feel like you and I are here right now talking about it. I think that people are starting to really talk about it. And I feel that that's going to be one of the greatest shifts, one of the greatest empowering things that we can do is to really start letting people know you're not alone. This is, a thing. This is common. Here's stories.
Yes.
This is our stories.
So I think it was yesterday, someone said this to me, and I'm going to screw it up, but it was really, I think, very telling, is we have physical health, right? And some people are in good physical health. They work out, they stretch their body to the limits, they build those muscles. And we have people with poor physical health. They don't get off the couch. They are more lackadaisy about the exercise routine. They haven't even heard of yoga. What's yoga? I've never done that. So physical health, right? Mm-hmm. Then we have financial health, right? And so in our finances, some people can be very healthy in finances. They have invested, they are making their money work for them. They're excited about it. They have great spending plans that they have meticulously put together and they follow. And then there's people with poor financial health, and they are low credit score, robbing Peter, pay Paul.
Yeah.
They live in subpar housing, maybe poor financial literacy or financial health. But the same is true of mental health. It's on a continuum. So we can have really good mental health where we have tragedies like the ones I've experienced in my life, death of a child, divorce from a very negative person that did a lot of things very negatively in my life. And moving quickly one time, that's when I moved to Kansas. I just kind of packed up and moved, but I packed up and moved to Texas too. And you can have those situations in your life, and if you take care of your mental health, you get a professional to help you. You take classes to help you. You learn techniques for breathing and calming and centering, grounding, energy, all those things. Spiritual health is right in there too. We can have people with great spiritual health and poor spiritual health, right?
There's definitely a balance, in so many of those buckets.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So if we think about mental health of, am I taking care of my health? Do I have good quality mental health, or is it poor quality mental health? And I'm focused on the negative, and I can't see any good, and I don't seek help when there are traumatic events. And PTSD, one of those diagnoses, is present possibly in every one of us, where we've had a car accident that was just jarring. We had a situation where someone injured themselves in front of us, someone died. PTSD can happen to anybody. And do you stay in that and you ignore it and you shove it down into that box? Or are you willing to open it up and say, this is going to hurt and it's painful, but I want to be better. I want to have better mental health so that I can show up for family, for friends, to be present in my life, have good relationships, have a great job, career opportunities, and on and on.
Yeah, the mental awareness is huge in making those choices. Let me move into this. Manly said, yes, we shouldn't shame people. It's not part of the solution to mental health. Walk a mile in someone else's shoes. Yeah, absolutely. And he also said, thank you for being brave enough to share and a light.
Thank you.
Yes. Well, thank you. I want to ask Hilari is, as we come to a close, is there anything else that, you would like to share with our audience as we leave here today?
I think that a big takeaway is giving yourself grace as we go through life's challenges and not being so hard on ourselves. I think society does enough of that for us. We don't have to beat ourselves up. I'm a pretty critical person of myself. I always analyze and look over and how can I improve that? And how can I do that better? And it doesn't have to be so hard on our, for us, on ourselves, and giving others grace and being present. That's huge in being there for your friends, being present for those that you love, and showing up for them. And that looks different for everyone. That could be sending a text in the morning that says, hey, you're having a job interview today. I hope it goes well. I hope you get the job. Or it's showing up to your kids' athletic event and being present and giving them the hurrahs and the cheers and they see you in the bleachers. So those are a few of my takeaways for the day that I hope are helpful to others.
Oh, thank you so much. And again, just like, the Manly said, thank you so much for sharing your story and your light. I want to make sure everyone knows how to contact you. Your email is Hilari@empoweringtransitionslc.com. That stands for Empowering Transitions Life Coaching. And so that is what you do. You bring
Yes.
people through all sorts of transitions, whether it be, someone from military, which is in an expertise, a parent, or an entrepreneurial, any sort of life transitions. And my goodness, there are so many, aren't there? I think
Yes.
even moving to another state, for goodness sakes, has its own challenges and is a total transition, right? Because you're used to a normal everyday consistency, and then it's changed. It is so hard to be able to do that. You're not going to the same stores, the same roads, the
Yes.
same people. So yeah, Hilari is there for you. And I can say personally that I highly recommend her. She's an incredible human being, as you have experienced here today on the Wellness Driven Life Show. So again, that's Hilari at empoweringtransitionslc.com. That will also be left in the description. And I want to say to our guests, if you have comments that you want to leave, many of you will be watching the replay. Please leave the comments in and we'll get back to you. And thank you so much. The show would not be possible without your generous contributions. You can donate to the Wellness Driven Life Show, Cash App, PayPal, so many options. And when you donate on the website at www.thewellnessdrivenlifeshow.com, you'll be left with an email follow-up you can keep for your records. So that being said, thank you so much, Hilari, for being our honored guest on the show. I love all your stories. I'm so excited to see what's next for you. I see the most beautiful transitions happening for you. And it is such an honor and a privilege to be a part of that and along your side. And
Yes.
I feel very grateful.
Yes. I'm excited for you too, because I know that this is great and it's going to get even better. And opportunities are also coming for you as well. And just be ready for them and be excited when they hit, because they're gonna show up when you were least expecting it, and it's like, whoa, okay.
Well, this is our friendship is a beautiful example of, community and being there, to lift each other as we climb, right? It is definitely a part of the journey that you don't want to leave that piece out. You don't want to leave community out. There's so much power in that. So I want to say goodbye for now, and we will see everyone tomorrow. Goodbye.
Bye.